What's going on, everybody? Appreciate you tuning in. Another edition of Sideline to Sideline. You already know the crew. We're here. We're back. Missed last week with Thanksgiving. We spent some time with the family, but we're back talking football. So, got to start with my guy right next to me, not guarding the two, it's guarding the three. Right? What's going on, man?
Oh, I'm doing great. Can't be better. I get to watch us beat Detroit tonight. I'm living life right now.
Hey, like the confidence, like the confidence. You gotta support your team. Got it. Uh, got right here below me, taking it deep, birds deep. The Godfrey, what's going on, man?
Just in here enjoying football and realizing that I'm on a podcast with the legend Scott Hall up in the right corner, aka Razor Ramon, the bad guy. Um, and just enjoying life, enjoying football, man. It's it is crunch time. It's the witching hour, as they like to say at the fourth quarter and the red zone game. So a lot of good football coming up, and you got a great divisional matchup. And obviously, because of the color of my hat, I am Go Pack Go tonight. So let's go Packers, and let's bite the kneecaps of the Lions.
Of course. And obviously down there in the corner, man, looking like a Christmas type sweater. Not gonna lie, I see it. Got the NFL genius. Gene, what's going on, man?
Man, it's a Christmas sweater. It's Christmas time, baby.
Yeah,
It's Christmas time, pretty baby. Fly Eagles fly, baby. I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm fired up. EA Sports in the game. Guys, we got a lot to get into tonight. I want to start here, though. The MVP race is heating up in the NFL. And I'm very interested because here's the thing, right? Some people are haters. There are haters in this world. I want to see if Kyle's one of them. I love Kyle, but he might be a hater. And I can't explain it yet. But I will explain it after we give our MVP picks. Right now, as we stand right now, you had to vote for MVP. What is your vote, Kyle?
I think it's down to two guys. I think. Look, if I'm making my vote, I would go Saquon Barkley.
Okay.
I think if you're going to give it to a non-quarterback, this is the year to do it. And Saquon has been the best non-quarterback. You can just see from his addition to Philly what he's kind of transformed that team into. I think he's been the most valuable player. Now, I know you reference hater because, there's a guy down in Baltimore that everybody wants to give a third MVP to. My thing is, if you're not the most important guy in your team to winning, how could you be the MVP? I think Derrick Henry's more important to them winning deep in the playoffs and as we've seen all year than Lamar has been. So that kind of disqualifies him for me. Josh Allen, I could show some love to Josh Allen as well. He's doing his thing, but I would go with Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley 1, Josh Allen 2.
Yes.
Okay. Brett Gardy 3. Your pick for MVP. Right now.
It's weird to me because saying any quarterback, because I feel like the best quarterback in the league this year may just have a case to be Joe Burrow, but obviously he's not going to win it with his team record. So shout out Joe Burrow, been phenomenal this year, but I think the front runner, it's Lamar Jackson. I think he's the front runner right now. He's putting up the numbers. He's been great so far. I think he's got to be the front runner for MVP right now.
So Lamar Jackson, number 1. Who's number 2?
Number 2, yeah. I would go Josh Allen.
Okay. Josh Allen, number 1. Or sorry, Lamar Jackson, number 1. Josh Allen, number 2. All right. Mr. Matt Godfrey, I need your opinion on who the MVP is right now.
So I'm gonna go. I mean, if I'm talking reality, it's a different situation. But if I'm talking about what I think, I'm gonna go Barkley 1, Allen 2. I think Barkley has been very important to the Eagles, and he's having his best season of his career and the best season of any offensive player, I think, right now. And he's playing with a chip on his shoulder. I mean, he's on pace to break a record. I don't know if he's going to break it, but he's on pace to break Eric Dickerson's record. I know it's a quarterback award usually, but Lamar's not in the conversation with me. I'm sorry. I just think people are going by default. I'm not fooled by the shine on the car. I'm going with Josh Allen if it's not Saquon.
Okay. So the reason I brought this up, and it's for something that I just need you guys to understand completely. And congratulations, Kyle. You are not listed as a hypocrite or a hater today. But the reason I brought this up, and I want to bring it up and I want to be very clear, I'm going to read you some stats. Just want to read them out to you. And I want you to tell me what stats sound better. Player A, 2,691 passing yards. We'll get into rushing in a minute. I promise we'll get there. 2,691 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, a 100 quarterback rating. Player B passing yards is 3,290 with 29 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and a 116.3 quarterback rating. I just want to know between those two players who is having a better season statistically.
Yeah, the second guy.
Now, it's not close.
Yeah.
Player A, now you got to add rushing yards, right? We got to help Lamar Jackson catch up, right?
No.
Except player B is Lamar Jackson and player A is Josh Allen. Statistically, right. Lamar Jackson is dwarfing Josh Allen in every stat, in efficiency, in yards per pass, in touchdowns, in yardage, in turnovers. Oh, and he runs the ball more efficiently and more effectively and for more yards. Now, last year, I was on board with Kyle. Me and Kyle talked about this on this show. Last year, we talked about this. Lamar Jackson's not having an MVP year. I remember talking after the Jacksonville Jaguars game where we're like, yo, Kyle, we watched the game last night. The Ravens won, and they're saying that Lamar Jackson's a runaway MVP. Who'd you think had a better game? And we both agreed that Lamar didn't have a good game. He threw a double coverage pass to Isaiah Likely that got caught, shouldn't have got caught. Lamar Jackson should not have won the MVP last year. But out of the quarterbacks that are listed now, you got to think about narrative, man. Josh Allen is getting the votes because Josh Allen has never won an MVP. Voter fatigue. Lamar Jackson statistically is better at everything. And yes, you're right, but Lamar is better because of Derrick Henry. That's fine. I'm okay with you saying that. But if we're not going to vote someone because of their stats as a quarterback, isn't this the perfect time to say, well, we do have another guy who's on pace to break the all-time rushing record and is making his team significantly better in Saquon Barkley. My voting right now is Saquon Barkley 1, Lamar Jackson 2, Josh Allen 3. And this is coming from a guy that picked Josh Allen to an MVP before the season started. That was my projection. But I can't argue with those numbers. 3,290 passing yards to 2,691. 29 passing touchdowns to 20. Tied in QBR, 116 quarterback rating to 100 quarterback rating. Where am I missing? Are we just like listening to this ESPN narrative of what it should be? Because I didn't believe it last year. I wasn't on board last year, and I'm not on board with it this year. Statistically, Josh Allen is not beating Lamar Jackson in anything except wins. But if wins are your determining factor, I have another man's stats to show you. And we can compare, because if we're saying that wins are what matters, that's okay. I have stats for you, my friend. 2,982 yards, 22 touchdowns to 9 interceptions, a 109 quarterback rating versus Josh Allen's stats of 2,691 yards, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Quarterback A, 100 quarterback rating. Quarterback A or quarterback B?
I'm assuming the first guy is Jared Goff.
That is correct.
Yeah. Because
And
I think Jared Goff has a legitimate claim to it. My only thing is I think the perception with Jared Goff is it's the guys around him, not him. I'm not saying I agree with that. I just think when you think of Detroit, you think Dan Campbell, you think Montgomery, you think Gibbs, you think St. Brown. Like you think of like 5, 6 guys before you even think about Goff. And like I said, I don't agree with it. I think Goff does have a legitimate claim to it. I also think that 5 interception game for some reason has like lingered with him. And since that happened not too long ago, I felt like people kind of dismissed him after that. But like you just read the numbers, even with that 5 interception game, he has 9 on the year.
Yep.
So that was just like the one game where he had his worst performance of the year. But if you look at the total of his season, he has been really good this year. So I wouldn't be mad if, people wanted to say Goff. I just think the perception is that he's not the guy in Detroit.
And that's fair, but the answer is narrative. Godfrey.
Yeah. I think it's narrative, but I also think it's wins. I mean, last year, Lamar didn't. He benefited last year what Josh Allen's benefiting from. Lamar had a less of statistical season than Brock Purdy, right? And they beat them, and his team had the most wins, right? So I really think it was looked at as Lamar was the most valuable player to that team, and it just.
But if Lamar's the most valuable player to that team, and that team had the most wins last year, who's the most valuable player for Detroit? Who has the most wins this year? I'm not saying that it will end that way, but I just don't know. All right, so if we're going by wins, it should be Jared Goff. If we're going by stats, it should be Lamar Jackson. If we're going by impact, it should be Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, but
what's the narrative around Josh Allen?
A lot of people left the Bills for dead, not even making the playoffs.
But we weren't one of them.
Well, I wasn't one of them. You're right. You guys weren't one of them. But a lot of people had them making the playoffs and not the Jets, right? I mean, the Jets making and not.
I did have the Jets making the playoffs. I had the Jets and the Bills.
And people said even Miami over them. But the thing about that is they have Khalil Shakir. They have a rookie in Keon Coleman. They traded for Amari Cooper. And I just think they're playing team football, and they've beat the Chiefs and the Ravens.
They lost the Ravens. They got their ass beat by the Ravens.
Raven beat the brakes of them. That's right. It was the other way around.
This is my point. They beat the Chiefs, so he's the MVP. So does that mean this week, if the Chargers go out and beat the Chiefs, Justin Herbert's the MVP?
No.
What? I don't know where I could put that on my MVP mantle case. Beat the Chiefs. What does that mean?
Well, there's never been a logical formulation to the MVP award, except that it's mostly a quarterback award.
This is you got to be careful with this. Josh Allen's doing a lot with an iffy roster to start, and they weren't even sure what they had. You got to be careful with this. Let's look at Josh Allen's roster. Keon Coleman is a first-round draft pick at wide receiver. Dalton Kincaid is a first-round draft pick at tight end. James Cook is a second-round draft pick at running back. Amari Cooper is a first-round draft pick at wide receiver. You got to be careful with this. You can't just say that.
But their leading receiver is Khalil Shakir.
I don't care. I don't care.
The 5th rounder out of Boise State.
Awesome. I'm glad they found a way to use him.
I mean, that's their. I do think that the roster is a good roster. I don't think Keon Coleman or Amari Cooper's been as impactful as they've hoped.
No, you're right. But you got to understand the point here. The argument for Josh Allen is, well, he's winning a lot of games and his team's really not that great around him. That's why he's going to win MVP of football.
Wasn't that kind of the argument for Lamar?
That's correct. And that was why I wanted to see if Kyle was going to be a hypocrite this week. And
I mean,
look,
if we're going by stats, Joe Burrow's lighting it up this year.
Yeah, but you can't. No one's ever won an MVP award under 500.
Well, I hear you, but then people want to say, is it a wins and loss reward? I guess it is then, right?
I guess
30 touchdowns already. 13
players out. He said it twice. I want to post it. The Lions have 13 players out. I get it. If they win tonight, then maybe Jared Goff will step right into the MVP. If they win tonight with all those defensive players out, I get it. Now,
I think Jared Goff is out of the conversation because there's wins that he has had.
Too good?
No, it's because sometimes it's something that they are going to run the ball like the Eagles do with Jalen Hurts, and he doesn't really. He's just game managing at certain points. It's the offense.
That was the whole point we talked about last year with Brock Purdy. We talked about that last year with Brock Purdy. They had Brock Purdy and CMC. This year it's Jared Goff and Sonic and Knuckles. But the MVP, most valuable player, last year, look, I told you, should have been Dakota Rain. And I didn't want it to be Rain Dakota. But that was the MVP of the league last year. Wasn't Lamar Jackson. If you put up Dak Prescott's 2023 stats and lined them up next to Lamar Jackson's 2023 stats, you'd be like, how the hell did this guy win?
I mean, wasn't Lamar's numbers last year worse than the first year he won MVP?
100 worse than yes. The answer is yes. So this year's Lamar numbers, they're video game numbers. He's putting up better numbers than he did last year. I don't know. I find it very interesting to think about how these awards, and it literally, it's the narrative what gets put on ESPN. Everyone's saying Josh Allen. I don't understand how. I don't understand why. And I picked him.
Well, I mean, I think it's definitely Saquon if you're looking at overall performance, but it's hard for a running back to win it.
They beat the Chiefs in the regular season all the time. The MVP is low-key the sexy award. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen play sexy football. It's stupid, but it is what it is. Dak had a hell of a year last year, 100%. Watch the Vikings go on a tear and blow people out. Y'all be saying, no, y'all wouldn't be saying Darnold for MVP.
There's not a chance in hell. There's not. I would
run my MVP ratings.
I would have to be crazy and drunk running naked in the streets to say Sam Darnold be MVP. There's not a chance in hell. If you watch some of those Viking games, he is awful. He has been awful to the point where they were like, you know what? We're going to pick up Daniel Jones just in case. Not a chance in hell Sam Darnold could be MVP. Not a chance. No, I'll land on Mars before that happens.
Jory, I listen. Here's the thing I want to explain to Jory. And Jory, you're right. Like, he doesn't deserve the accomplishments of like an all-time great quarterback, but an MVP is not a postseason award. So she said he's not the MVP. I don't want to see Lamar get another MVP until they do something worthwhile. They can't do anything worthwhile in the regular season. They've got the number one seed before.
Well, maybe it's the Djokovic tax. They said in the NBA they didn't want fatigue. They didn't want him to win 3 MVPs in a row. Nikola Djokovic. That's what they say.
Yeah, you're talking about it's voter fatigue.
Yeah,
and if the voter fatigue's on Lamar, then why not look at the running back that's breaking records? Guardy 3, I think
this is the year to do that. Go running back this year,
right? Guardy 3, I really need to hear your give me a strong opinion.
They should have went running back last year, I think.
I agree.
They didn't.
Yeah, no. At the end of the day, I think with Lamar, he for sure didn't deserve it last year. But this year, if he wins it, I'm not going to be too mad about it. But
correct.
I 100% do think also that Barkley shouldn't be forgotten about. I do hate that it's become a QB award because it really feel like that it should be Lamar or Barkley this year. But We know that's not going to happen, but I do think that people who say that, Barkley should be MVP, they're right. Like, especially if he breaks Dickerson's record. Absolutely.
Oh, he's a shoo-in if he breaks Dickerson's record.
I don't think any non-quarterback is a shoe.
I don't know.
If you break the all-time rushing record, I definitely think.
Can I play something by you? Right now, Josh Allen is in the lead and Saquon Barkley is second in the odds. Lamar Jackson's third. I'm gonna play out a scenario for you. Barkley breaks the all-time rushing record. Josh Allen runs the table and wins out and looks great in all those games. There's no way they're taking the lead from Josh Allen and handing it to Saquon Barkley. They're not. So you need Buffalo to slip up in order for some. I'm not kidding with you. This is literally the narrative around the NFL. The award was Dak Prescott's to lose until he lost in Week 16 last year. And they're like, oh, it might not be Dak's. Maybe it's, Lamar's.
But see, part of the reason that happened.
It was Brock Purdy's award until Christmas when Baltimore went into San Fran and kicked the shit out of them.
But part of the reason that happened is because the last 4 games, Lamar had, 6. He had 11 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions, and I'm not even looking at any rushing stats either. I'm looking. No, the rushing too. I mean, he had a ton of passing yards. He had 97 yards rushing and 45, 70. Didn't have a lot of rushing TDs. His QB readings were 95, 85. Those last 2 games, the second to last game was San Francisco, and then he had a 5 touchdown pass game at the end of the year.
Yeah, but
it's Miami 56-19.
At the Rams, at the Lions, the Patriots, and the Jets the last 4 weeks of the season, and then the Patriots again. So Buffalo plays at Detroit. If Josh Allen plays a mediocre game and they run the table, Saquon Barkley could run for 3,000 yards, and they're not going to give him the MVP.
Well, that's the quarterback tax. I mean,
100%. That's the point.
I think if he gets it just depends on the year. But like last year, I felt like they were searching for an MVP, and then they finally they weren't.
Should have gave it to CMC.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right. Just wanted to get your guys' opinion. Next thing on the docket, I got to get your opinion on this. We talked about it on Coffee and Sports. We talked about it on Wire to Wire. I need your opinion on it. And it drives me nuts because I think people are crazy. I legitimately think people are insane. Azeez Al-Shaair takes a shot at suspended for 3 games for his hit on Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is placed on season-ending IR. He'll be out for the year. I want to hear your opinions on the narrative that's going around in the NFL. Quarterbacks running. What can a defender do? What side of the coin are you on in this? Because there are a lot of people out there defending and saying, well, he shouldn't call called runs. He slid late. There's a lot of people out there defending, and I want to hear your guys' opinions on this because I think the NFL's gone crazy. And I am normally on the side of the defender. Anybody remember Kiko Alonso's hit on Joe Flacco?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I don't think that was that bad of a hit. I think he slid late. He slid for the first down. The defender was coming in hard, started a fight. Should have been flagged, but shouldn't have been thrown out of the game. It shouldn't have been that. I'm normally on the side of the defender. What side are you on?
I mean, with this one, it's always tough with these plays because you see it like full speed. It's very close, all that. I do think the whole designed run thing and taking that out of the game, I think that's crazy. I don't know how you necessarily do that, but I do think a lot of it is on the quarterback. Like some of these guys, we've seen like Mahomes and Pickett. Everybody talks about how they fake the slide and then gain extra yards. So these defenders now have to think in the back of their mind
on the sideline. I'm sorry to interrupt you. But what Mahomes did on the sideline, he should be flagged for.
Yeah.
It
should be like diving
going
in
out of
hockey
bounds,
or
100%. You fake slide, fake going out of bounds. If you want the calls as a quarterback, you need to be flagged for shit like that.
That
Sorry,
move, that rule was intended to protect the quarterback, not to be a football move to take an advantage.
Sorry,
Yes.
Kyle. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I
No,
apologize.
no. I mean, that kind of works in as well. It's just like the quarterbacks are smart now. They're gonna play off of defenses not wanting to get that 15-yard penalty and everything like that. So you can't have it where if quarterbacks are running out there, like these guys are just head hunting and it's like not penalized. Can't have that. I think these offensive coaches need to start hammering into these quarterbacks that I'd rather you slide a yard early than slide a yard late. Because if you slide a yard late, you expose yourself to hits like Trevor Lawrence, like Joe Flacco took. And that's where the problem is here. Like these quarterbacks have to understand how important they are. And yes, you might get some fans who boo if you slide a little early. Tough. Because you need to be there that next play. Because what good are you if you're laid out, concussed, and you can't play for a few weeks? Like that's where the problem's going to be. These offensive coaches, these head coaches have to hammer that into these guys and not think that it's okay to, toe the line and see if you catch one of these defenders that pull up too early and then you can like take advantage and blow by them for an extra 5 yards or something. So
real quick, I want to should he have been ejected from the game? Should he have been penalized? Should he have been suspended? You're the commissioner of football, Kyle. Kyle's football. Penalty, yes or no?
yes.
Ejection, yes or no?
I mean, the ejection was mainly for the reaction. I'll say yeah, because that's more of like to calm things down. I'm okay.
Yes or no?
Yeah, because I think Shair had a little history that I think worked into this.
A little history?
I mean, I wanted
Aziz Al-Shahir
like
is
that.
a dirty
He
player.
has.
He led with
So
his
with that-
forearm
Yeah.
to the head.
So with that, it's like the people who don't like the suspension, it's like you can have that fight not for this guy. This guy with that was going to get a suspension.
Yep.
No doubt about it. Now you want to argue the length of the suspension? Sure. But the suspension was warranted.
Okay. Guardy 3. Hop in here.
Yeah.
Whose side you on? Should he have been flagged, ejected, suspended? What's your thoughts?
I think he absolutely should have been suspended, and he absolutely should have been flagged. I don't think that's even a question, considering that, like Kyle said, he has a history of playing very dirty. So, and we all saw it. He kind of launched himself late, but I do want to say I do agree with Chase, and this is something Kyle and I talked about in his Discord. I do think that part of the problem is these fake slides, faking going out of bounds, and I agree with you. As soon as a quarterback does that, it needs to be a 15-yard unsportsmanlike penalty. Completely get rid of fake slides, fake going out of bounds, but in this instance, yeah, absolutely should have been suspended. I'm all for with how they handled it.
Godfrey.
I don't think the suspension should have been 3 games.
Okay.
I think they're making an example out of it, but people have been talking about this for a while. And
Yeah, but I don't think this is the case to stake your flag. Aziz
yeah.
is not the guy you should have been. This conversation should have happened in a different scenario, not for this.
But it hasn't, because it's going to have to be someone like a Trevor Lawrence or a Patrick Mahomes that gets hurt, right?
And
And
Patrick Mahomes that got hurt, they throw him out of the league.
but that's the thing.
Ejected from the league.
But that's the thing. Like, that play, the sliding is not designed to be a part of a strategy to get extra yards at the last second and fake someone out. I don't think they should take it out of the league. I don't think Azier should have led with his forearm, right? So I get that you're going to have to suspend him. I don't think that they should have kicked the Jaguars player out. I believe, didn't they eject the Jaguars player for coming to defend?
Well, first of all, let me give the Jacksonville Jaguars some credit, because for a team that has 2 wins for the season, I loved the way they responded to that situation. that means that's not a team that's completely that they're still playing for each other. And I respect that. So if I can give them any credit this year, I'll give them that credit.
Yeah, who did they throw out on the Jags because of that?
I don't know. It was one of the linemen. I have no idea.
They shouldn't have thrown him out for that. That I thought that was BS. I mean, if you're gonna throw the other guy out of the game because you saw that. I know you have your standard, and you're gonna eject him. The camera upstairs needs to see that. I mean, what is the guy supposed to do? It's his lineman, it's his quarterback, and he just tried to decapitate him. So, I think if the league's more concerned about safety for the quarterbacks, then they need to tell them, like, yeah, you can't be fake sliding. And I don't think that was the case here. I don't think he fake slid. I think he just went to slide too late, and Azier launched.
Well, definitely didn't fake slide. This is not a fake slide.
Right.
The reason that the fake slide part gets brought up, Godfrey, is because a lot of quarterbacks have been, so defenders haven't been stopping. That's the argument. Like they showed the Mahomes thing where he fakes like he's going out of bounds, and he gets an extra 20 yards because defenders are laying off him and not laying him out. So let me just kind of put a bow on this because we got to get into a great football game that's happening tonight. And I have one more question on the preview. The bow on this is a conversation that needs to happen, but Aziz Al-Shahir is not the guy. You're talking about a guy that choked Tom Brady in the middle of a football game. Hand was in on the throat. You're talking about a guy, dirty hit on Caleb Williams on the side.
Tom Brady came to his defense. That's what's crazy this week.
I don't care about what Tom Brady came to his defense. I'm telling you what the guy's done. His history. He's fined 3 times. He was warned 8 times by the league. He's got this guy has a history of playing dirty. It was a dirty play. He launched himself. He led with his forearm. This is all stuff that you can't do. This is not the guy to stake your flag in. This is not it.
Yep.
With that being said, look, quarterbacks, they need to do something to change the way the rule is structured. I think they need to flag quarterbacks for faking going out of bounds, for unsportsmanlike conduct. Fake slides definitely need to be flagged. The last thing
because I mean, isn't it a flag like on punts if a guy runs out of bounds and doesn't come back in right away?
Correct. Yes.
They called it like the quarterback doing that is kind of on that path where you're trying to take advantage of the boundary. So maybe that's something that they kind of throw into that. I don't know. It's a tough thing to kind of keep track of and monitor, but something does have to be done for sure.
I mean, all great points in the chats. I appreciate it. By the way, a Bears fan look, Damien, I love you, bro. I really appreciate you hopping on here all the time. Damien, I'm going to tell you something right now. Bears fans hate all their quarterbacks, and it's not the quarterbacks. It's the organization. And now, speaking of that, by the way, apparently news came out that Ryan Poles wanted to fire Matt Eberflus after last season and the McCaskey family, which I've been critical of on this show numerous times. The McCaskey family said no. This family can't get out of their own damn way. They can't get out of their own damn way. Guys, I got to apologize to everyone out there. I was dead right about Matt Eberflus. He sucked when they hired him. He sucked last year. He sucked 2 years ago. And I watched Hard Knocks, and I fell in love with the story. I'm like, maybe he's not a bad coach. And I turned it around at the beginning of this year, and I was dead wrong to do that. I should have stuck with my gut and trusted my eyes. You watched that game on Thanksgiving? I know I did. That was the worst clock management I've ever seen in my life.
What about Caleb? What about Caleb? All management at the line. What about
that? Is a rookie quarterback, Godfrey. That is a rookie quarterback. He didn't know he had timeout stuff. His job is processing reads, reading the defense. His job's not to call timeouts. Now, granted, yeah, Caleb can get 10 to 15% of that, but Matt Eberflus deserves 90 to 85% of that. I cannot take what the Chicago Bears do, and they're going to do it again. They have Caleb Williams, and they're going to get another coach in there. And if it's not Lincoln Riley, if they don't open the checkbook for Lincoln Riley to come there next year, or Ben Johnson from Detroit to go there and say, whatever you want, here's an open check. They're out of their mind. They're going to do this 3 quarterbacks in a row.
Here's the
I just can't take it.
Here's the crazy thing. I think Caleb's been playing better over the past, since Thomas Brown has become the offensive coordinator. And I think people just read headlines like, oh, the Bears stink. But he has been playing better. The receivers have been producing more because he's been playing better. And I do think you're right. The Bears are usually going to bear and make the wrong choice. But I think Ryan Poles is smart. And so whoever leaked that, the intention, the result they want from leaking that information, because it really doesn't matter at this point, is that Ryan Poles is going to be given the green light to pick his guy. Because he's making it known,
exactly.
I wanted this guy out, and you guys are the ones that did it, and he leaked it out. I don't know to who, and that's what happened. So he will get to pick his guy because the McCaskies are in a position now where they have to let him pick his guy.
Godfrey, spot on analysis. Kyle, Guardy 3, your thoughts on Eberflus, the Bears, Caleb Williams, whatever you want. Open floor before we get in the Lions-Packers.
I mean, I agree with Godfrey. It's like since they made the switch from Waldron to Brown, you could definitely see the difference. The Eberflus stuff, what killed me was after the game to say that they executed correctly, which
that was the worst
I
part.
don't know. I have no idea what that was supposed to mean. I don't know how wasting 30-something seconds and floating a pass downfield incomplete is executing. So, yeah. He should have lost his job.
He should have.
The camera's showing him. The camera's showing him when it's on zeros, and he's just looking up like. I honestly thought he might have thought it was a tie game or something. He was waiting around for overtime. Like he looked like he was completely checked out. So they made the right decision there. I think with Williams playing as well as he has, I feel like I've been hearing it from some people. Like, what if Thomas Brown gets a shot? He's an offensive guy. He's got the connection with Caleb Williams. I've heard people bring him up.
That would be the Bears move to do. That would be the Bear.
I just want to throw it out there to see what you guys thought, because I've heard like people.
I'm going to tell you why I wouldn't give him that shot, and if I'm Ryan Poles, why I'm going to tell ownership I'm against that. Because here's the thing, Matt Eberflus deserved to be fired. There's no way you could tell me that the offensive coordinator doesn't have any culpability in that way the situation ended at that game. They're both culpable. Eberflus is entirely responsible because he's the head coach. It's his organization who's running under him, and that shows to the lack of organization that his head coach and his coaches had as far as that situation. They should practice that in practice. They should know, and they should have some kind of stopgap in there. And they had a timeout, by the way, that they could have called timeout, where they will be able to adjust for the rookie being in there because he is a rookie, right? They need to treat it as such. So for me, if I'm Ryan Poles, that's not my guy, because if that was my guy, I need a go-getter. I need like a Mike Tomlin type. You know what I mean? If I'm him, that's who I need. I need someone who's going to say, from the offensive side, because it should be an offensive head coach, I believe.
The whole NFL needs a Mike Tomlin type, Godfrey. Are you out of your mind? Listen, everybody in the NFL would sign up to have a coach that's never under 500.
As we've met in person, there are fans out there.
That guy's a moron.
Steeler fans in general, I will hear talk about why Mike Tomlin should go because they haven't won a Super Bowl. They're spoiled children. So
100% of Steeler fans that don't like Mike Tomlin are white.
No, that's not true, man. I know a bunch of Steeler fans that are black that aren't on him because he hasn't produced in the playoffs. And if I was Mike Tomlin, I would say what he said to the lineman last week: "Shut your ass up." That's what I would say, because
the way he handled George Pickens after that play, he's a special coach, man.
He is. There's no doubt about it.
Handle the Russell Wilson thing.
I'll tell you this. This is how you know a coach is a good coach.
Even worse.
You have to ask yourself.
Even worse, Damian.
Yeah. Adam Schefter.
He's the hot name now. Every position is like Vrabel. He's the hot guy that every fan wants.
No, that's not a Caleb Williams fit, in my opinion.
It's not a Caleb Williams fit.
And I don't think
they're going to find his offensive coordinator from USC and bring him in as the OC. There's no way.
Yeah, I don't see that. I see Ryan Poles pushing for an offensive mind. Yeah,
You need to literally walk to Lincoln Riley and say, "Would you like part of the franchise?"
Yeah. See, that's
You
where
own part of the Bears.
that's where Poles is going to have a problem because the Bears don't make a coach hire like that. He's going to have to meet in the middle and find someone that's an offensive mind under the radar, or he's going to have to get the Bobby Slowick or Ben Johnson in there to work with Caleb Williams. And I think it will be attractive to an offensive mind because I think they will want to work with a Caleb Williams. I still think he's very talented, and he even under all this duress and this DJ Moore was frustrated. All these players were frustrated. They had to fire Shane Waldron, who is an awful he's an awful OC. And it's at the point where Ryan Poles is like, well, you got to let me shop for the groceries now. So I just don't think they're going to give him an unlimited checkbook, and that's what it's going to take to get a Lincoln Riley, in my opinion.
Is this real? I believe you because that can't be real. What about the McCaskey saying the VP will find their new head coach instead of Ryan Poles? I can't.
I mean,
I can't. Guys, we gotta.
I don't believe that because I think Ryan Poles, and I disagree with him, was instrumental in taking Caleb Williams #1. Personally, in the approach.
We got a hell of a game that we got to get into tonight, and we'll lead into this Bears conversation. We'll lead right into the Detroit Lions, who last week looked like world beaters in the first half, and then the second half, the Chicago Bears absolutely outplayed them. Now, to the Lions' credit, they lost a lot of players, man. I felt like a Lions player is going down with injury every other play. That team reminds me of the 17 Philadelphia Eagles that won the Super Bowl, next man up mentality, where a guy goes out. We lost our left tackle, our middle linebacker. There's Sproles got out, Jason Peters. Like that team, it was insane with injuries. And then Carson Wentz went down. Yet that team just kept finding ways to win football games. The Lions lost Rodrigo for the season. DJ Reader's not playing tonight. They lost Taylor Decker's not playing, probably their best offensive lineman. The Detroit Lions are starting to get riddled with injury. So my question would be this. The game's in Detroit. If you are doing the power rankings for the NFL right now, where is Detroit? Are they 1? Are they 2? Are they 3? I'm not going to allow you to put them below 3. You might be able to put them at 4 if you really made a strong argument, but I don't like that. Where would you have the Lions in your power ratings right now?
I mean, I hate to say it this way because I'm an Eagles fan, and this is only recent, and it's only because of injuries. I have them at 2, behind the Eagles at 1. If they didn't have so many injuries on defense, and I think I would have them at 1.
Mount Suggs has them 4th, and I'm assuming you have
how?
Philadelphia, Detroit, and Buffalo. Philadelphia, Kansas City, and Buffalo. It's got to be the 3 teams he has out of them.
I would put Buffalo behind Detroit even with the injuries.
I agree.
The thing about that is that because of the way the Baltimore game went down, I don't know if Detroit doesn't do the same damn thing to them. To be honest, I could see Detroit handling Buffalo just by purely running the ball on them and controlling the clock and limiting the defense's time. I could see Buffalo getting boat raced by Detroit. I could just see it personally. So
next week.
I could see it. It's possible. I can't put Kansas City. I can't put above, Detroit either. Detroit's 1 or 2. There's no doubt about it.
This is insane. You can't have the Steelers out of them. That's just can't.
Steelers are knocking on 4th, but I can't have them. I can't. They're
okay.
They're knocking on 4th. There's no way.
Where do you have the Detroit Lions?
I kind of think I feel like I've had them 1 for a while.
Okay.
I think I'd keep them 1. I think the gap between them and 2 is closed a lot because I would say that, I kind of doubted the Eagles a lot while they're going through their run, but I feel like you got to give them their credit. I would probably put the Eagles at 2, like nipping on the Lions' heels. No, I mean, John does have the Steelers up there. I think the question would be like Steelers or Bills as 3. With Kansas City, it's tough because I think at the top of the NFL, like you could have like
That's the
any
top
number
5.
of-
It's Eagles,
Yeah.
Lions, Bills, Chiefs, and
Bills,
Steelers.
Chiefs, yeah,
That's the 5.
yeah,
So you have the Lions 1.
yeah.
Godfrey has them 2. Guardy 3. Being a Packers fan, where do you have the Lions right now?
30th. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, hater.
Right? No. I would put them at. I would honestly say I'd put them at 2, right behind the Eagles. I don't think there's any denying just how great they are, and all the credit in the world to them. They have 13 guys on IR, and they're still finding a way to win games. I think did a really good job building up depth, and they're just going to be even more dangerous when they start filtering those other guys back in there. So I'm going to have them at 2.
Okay, so I have them at 2 behind Philadelphia. I think tonight's game might move them down a little bit, and I don't want to. I'll give my opinion shortly, but what I want to do is I want to pass the rock. I want to pass the buck. I want to pass it over to my man Guardy 3, Mr. Guardy 3. I want you to break down this game for me from a Packers fan's perspective. There is a lot of talk about the Packers having a couple of guys that are injured. So, Jair Alexander's not going to play tonight. I think he might be out for the foreseeable future. They keep saying he's coming back. I don't think that injury is something he's going to come back from. They're also missing Edgerrin Cooper. That's their best run-stuffing linebacker. Are the Packers ready for this football game?
I think they are. I really do. I think it'll be tough still, even with all the injuries. I think we have problems at the secondary position at cornerback, especially with Jair out. I think what to look out for. I think Amara and Sam Laporta could very well be in for big nights.
Okay.
But I think we'll be fine. It's going to come down to our run defense, though. The Lions are going to try to run. And the question is, will Green Bay be able to step up and stop them? Last year, when we beat them in Detroit, we did really well in limiting the run, and Jared Goff made a couple mistakes that we were able to capitalize on. We don't have Romeo Doubs tonight, but still having Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Josh Jacobs leading the run game. I think this game is going to come down to turnovers, and Jordan Love hasn't turned the ball over in 2 games. That makes me super happy to see. And it's going to be a battle.
Who wins the football game tonight, Guardy 3?
Packers.
Okay. We'll get into score predictions at the end. You don't have to give it to me now. Kyle, let me ask you a question real quick. You look at you just put the Lions number 1 on your power rankings. They're playing at home versus a division rival in which they beat in Green Bay already. How do you foresee this game going tonight?
I think Brett kind of alluded to it. This is going to be like 2 teams that are pretty good at stopping the run, but also want to run the ball. So I think which stubborn team gets their running game going more effectively than the other. And I think with that, it's going to be a hard-hitting, really close game. I know you asked Brett if the Packers are up for this and could do it. I've heard from Brett and Trajan about this Toyota-thon thing. I'm buying into it. Apparently, Jordan Love is like Tom Brady during Toyota-thon. So I think they do have a chance at this. But I will say,
Where the hell did that come from?
that
Toyota-thon?
apparently it's a thing. Every time I'm on with Trajan or Brett, they talk about this Toyota-thon thing. I looked it up during Toyota-thon. He's like incredible. But I just think the Lions will get the running game going, and that will be how they win tonight.
Okay. Godfrey, who do you like in this game? We got 1 Lion, 1 Packer.
I like the Packers. I think that the secondary has always been the weaker part of the defense for the Lions. And with the injuries, it's not going to be able to hide that. I think Jaden Reed's going to have a big game. I don't think that the Lions. I've been waiting for them to have a little bit of a hiccup, and I think it's coming up because they're losing two. They lost two linebackers: Marcus Davenport, Houston. I think he was cut or something. Hutchinson. I mean, they're losing a lot of manpower here, and Green Bay's been running the ball pretty effectively. Okay, normally you can't really run that well against Detroit, but you could pass against them. I just don't see their defense being able to control the game flow and get it back to them so they can run the ball and grind the clock. I think it's going to have to be a Sam Laporta, Amon St. Brown night to win. Jameson Williams and catching like a 50-yard bomb type of night for them to win. So I feel like even though without Jair Alexander, I see the Packers winning a tight one by a couple points.
I think this game is won and lost on the Packers offensive line versus the Detroit Lions defensive front seven. I think if the Detroit Lions can control the run game of the Packers, they're going to win the football game. If they do not have to commit 8 men to the box to stop the Packers run game, they're going to win the football game. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I think they're missing too much. Aiden Hutchinson going down, DJ Reader, Zadarius Smith is primarily known as a pass rusher. A lot of the Lions' run stuffers are just not there. Rodrigo, great run stopper for them. It's Jack Campbell and a bag of Doritos, if I'm being honest. If I'm being just fully honest with you, I don't think the Lions' secondary is their issue right now. They have Terrion Arnold, who's playing very good football. He had that rookie learning curve to start the season. Carlton Davis is kind of an issue, but their safeties might be the best combo in football. Brian Branch is playing great football.
Isn't Davis out?
What?
Is Davis out?
Carlton Davis is playing. No, he's playing. Their whole secondary is playing. I think that the issue that you're running into is their front seven. No Pascal, no DJ Reader, no Aiden Hutchinson. I think that really hurts them. No Rodrigo. That really hurts them, in my opinion. I think Josh Jacobs can have a big night, and I think they're going to have to commit more people to stop the run than they want to. So, with that being said, I think that the Packers win this football game. I think it's a close football game. I think it'll be close. I think it's 27-23 Green Bay. Nothing against Detroit. I think they're a great football team. But there's only so many injuries you can take. It's just not. The game is going to be a very good football game. These are two of the top 4 teams in the NFC. No doubt in my mind. I think the Packers get a little get back tonight. Give me your score prediction, Kyle.
Yes, I'll go Lions. I'll go Lions 26-23.
Close game. 1 point off from me and you. Godfrey, give me your score prediction.
I'm going to go Packers 26-20.
Packers 26-20. Got it. Guardy 3. I need to hear an excited, bold proclamation score prediction.
You know, I'll take the Packers, and I'll take them 30-20. I think it's one of those close games where Green Bay just gets that late touchdown to seal it. So give me 30-20 Green Bay in a fun, exciting game.
I think it's going to be a great football game tonight. One of the things I'm looking forward to most is the fact that I'm a trenches guy. You guys don't know this already. I'm constantly watching the way blocking is broken down. Oh, by the way, John Suggs, 33-27 Green Bay. Kneecap bite, my man Jeremy, 24-17 Lions. I will say this. 100%. If you keep the Packers below 21 points, they don't win the game. There's no chance. That defense can keep the Packers below 21 points. That means they've turned over Jordan Love a couple times. Turnover battle will be won and lost in this football game. I believe the Packers have to sustain the early crowd noise for a primetime game. Detroit, look, let's take a step back and give credit where credit's due. Dan Campbell and that Detroit coaching staff is done an incredible job not allowing the injury to Bug to be an excuse, not allowing that shred of doubt. And when Godfrey said earlier, when he was talking about, I think that there might be time for a slip up. I think Detroit's already had their slip ups. One was versus Houston. The other one was versus Chicago. And they still found ways to win those football games. Jory said 2017 ankle biters. I'm guessing she means Lions. Kneecap biting. I get it. It should be a good football game. It's probably the best Thursday night football game of the season so far.
Yeah, I definitely agree with I think this game will be won or lost in the trenches. Shout out Detroit and their offensive line. I think that if you're talking MVP of Detroit, I think that very well could be it. Ragnow, Zeitler, Sewell, that is a tough line to crack. So it'll be interesting to see how the Packers get pressure on Golf through that.
Well, one thing we will know is Dan Skipper will not have to report eligible or ineligible tonight because he'll be starting on that left tackle role. No, it's funny because every time I hear Dan Skipper reports as eligible, I can only think of that Cowboys game. That still has to be one of the worst calls ever in a football game.
Yeah.
I wanted to end the show with something fun. I got something really fun. I'm not sure how much college football you guys have kept up with, but there's 3 big name quarterbacks. Well, 4. We'll keep Melrose in this. I don't want Jory mad at me. But there's 4 big name quarterbacks that should be coming out this year. I want you to rank them before we get off the show. Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward of the University of Miami, Jalen Milroe from Alabama, and Quinn Ewers from Texas. I want you to rank them 1 through 4 as if your team, not any other team, your team had to draft a quarterback next year. I'll start with Kyle.
You couldn't throw Carson Beck to make it easier with a 4th one?
Carson Beck will be 5. We'll all put him 5. He stinks.
Yeah. I know.
5, we can put them all 5.
Nah. I would go... I'm kind of close to John, but I would say Ward 1. I would go Sanders 2. I might go Ewers 3, Milroe 4.
Okay, it's two in a row. Ward, Sanders, Milroe, Ewers. And I'll let you guys know. I'm not sure how much college football you guys watch. I don't know in what world Jalen Milroe is better than Quinn Ewers. There's no world I've ever watched football in which Jalen Milroe is better than Quinn Ewers. I think Quinn Ewers is 1, if I'm being honest with you. I think Cam Ward, if he runs into the right situation, could be 2. I think Shedeur Sanders is 2. Cam Ward's 3, and Jalen Milroe's a distant 4th. Godfrey?
Ooh, I'm going to be the most wild one on this one. So give me my 5. If we're doing Carson Beck, he's 5.
He's 5.
I know that.
We're not doing Carson Beck.
Yeah, and it's if he's going to be on my team that I enjoy, that I watch.
Yep.
Milroe's going to be 4.
Fine.
We're gonna put who is the Ward and Ewers, and who's the other choice?
Sanders.
Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward.
I'm gonna go Cam Ward, Sanders, and Ewers.
You have Ewers 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, so do I. I think Quinn Ewers is the best of the bunch, but he has been consistent. You are correct. He has been inconsistent, but I think he's got the best arm talent. He's the best pocket passer of the few. Guardy 3. Give me your 4.
Yeah, give me Sanders, Ewers, Ward, Milroe.
Okay. That's our show for tonight. We got a Packers-Lions game tonight. So, Godfrey, any final thoughts?
No, just as an Eagles fan, go Pack, go.
Kyle, any final thoughts?
Look, we used to mock Thursday Night Football. This is a good one for sure.
I'm going to give my final thoughts over to Guardy 3, whose team's playing tonight, and I'm just going to lead him in. Do you have a final thought, Guardy 3?
Make sure you tune into the And One podcast at 8 o'clock.
I can't believe you're still doing that, even though the Packers are on that. But I will end the stream with this one for you, and I need you to hit it strong for me at the end, okay?
Okay.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Go, Pack, go!
Love it. Have fun, y'all.